Hey guys, what's up? I am here to give you guys my recap on the new chapter of One Piece, which is on chapter 967. Now, I will tell you guys this translation looks pretty rough. I can't really say that it's good in any other case, but this chapter, if I remember correctly and doing my research correctly, it will be released digitally in the next weekend. That much I can tell you. And I think by then I'll give you guys a little small announcement for my One Piece recaps. Don't get me wrong, I love One Piece despite what's been going on, but I'm gonna have to bring out an announcement for my future recaps for One Piece. Not much I can really tell you about. Just a little small thing to let you guys know. So if anything else, let's just get this rough translation of One Piece started. We have to it that Buggy and Shanks are arguing against each other, and this is Oden's backstory still. We are still in Oden's backstory. We see to it that Buggy and Shanks are arguing. It's the North Pole, it's the South Pole, but we see to it that Roger ends up having to be surprised of wait a minute, you guys have stones on your you guys have those stones on your islands? What color is it? And Oden, Inagarushi, and Nekomamushi says it's red. And he goes why didn't you tell me that sooner? I've been looking at that type for a long time. I had to steal a royal poneglyph from Charlotte Linland, and I got one from Whitebeard, which gives me an idea of where the last royal poneglyph might be. I'll have all 4 royal poneglyphs within my grasp very soon, And we see to it that Roger actually came by to visit Tom, which is actually Frankie's father figure, and at the same time teacher of making ships, And we see to it that Roger asked him, "Hey, did you finish the train yet? I want to sail with it on the Grand Line here and there." And we see to it that that Oden actually meets a young Frankie a long time ago. He says, "Hey, you're an orphan, right? Do you want to be our ship's carpenter?" But Frankie's "Not for a pirate. You guys would toss me over just like the last crew I was part of." And he goes "What are you talking about?" And we see to it that Oden continues his journey, and they end up having to go through somewhere, and he ends up having to visit Fishman Island, but not before they almost got themselves killed, And we see to it that Roger is actually friends with Neptune. He's actually friends with Neptune. And we see to it that he's acquainted, or he knows Neptune, and Neptune almost killed him because he doesn't know him. And we see to it that Roger's can you take it easy, man? Excuse me. So sorry. Can you take it easy? I haven't done anything bad yet. And Neptune's because you haven't done anything yet. Listen, I've stopped you for is about a prophecy that's about your caliber that you're going to achieve. He even tells Roger about it. He says the doors of Fishman Island will open to everyone. The border between our worlds will be destroyed. Since you are here, and you could easily destroy the entryway into Fishman Island, And we see to it that Neptune suffers some damage here and there, and it looks like there's some trouble along the way. But we see to it that there's a hole in the border bubble, and they're trying to plug it up, And we see to it that Shirley, that little fisherman girl, Shirley, who gives out future readings or future visions. She talks about the day of disaster will only occur after the mermaid princess is born, And we see to it that Neptune's going to be the one having that kind of daughter yet. He goes "I only became king of this country a few months ago." Yeah, well, I have a prophecy where you're going to marry someone into the royal line here and there, and you're going to have a kid. And we all know who that kid is, Obviously from the get-go. We see to it that, as the chapter continues, we see to it that, there's some prophecy going on. Oden's actually pretty surprised that there are only 2 poneglyph stones in this forest. One of them doesn't seem important, but Neptune explains to everyone, yeah, but one of them is an apology from a man called Joy Boy. I must say, I'm surprised you could read these stones whatsoever. Well, not only that, there's something involving the weapon that could shake the entire world isn't here. And we see to it that Roger explained that the Sky Island stone, instead it would be down here though. We see to it that Neptune continues to talk to Roger by saying, well, about that, recently I overheard a prophecy from Shirley concerning the weapon. Every 100 years, Poseidon, or Poseidon, however you want to pronounce it, god of the sea, is reborn. His hidden power, the power to destroy the world, sleeps inside a pure maiden. To put things very simply, there's a high probability my future daughter will be the weapon that destroys the world. But that is as far as prophecy goes. I have no idea what sort of person she would turn out to be. So the Poseidon is a mermaid, huh? I could give you some fatherhood tips if you want. We see to it that Roger asks Shirley, like, do you got any other prophecies up your sleeves? Maybe you could tell me when Poseidon will be born. And she says 10 years. And we see to it that Neptune tells Roger, well, yeah, 10 years left. Honestly, I'm disappointed and concerned that you're showing this much interest in my family affairs. And Rayleigh says, you know, Neptune, what we want is the treasure left behind by the people who built the weapon. We're not after the weapon itself. Right, Roger? He says, oh, I didn't say anything about that, did I? Well, don't worry, I don't have enough time left anyway to do, like, steal your shaggy daughter away. And Neptune's like, what the heck are you talking about? She'd be shaggy. And we see to it that Roger continues his journey, you know. They go finding poneglyphs. They all end up having booze, food. They even go back to Wano country in the New World because that's where one of the red poneglyphs that they're looking for. And we see to it that Toki kind of is very sick right now and that she cannot, like, let's see here, come by to, like, journey with Odin anymore. And we see to it that, like, we see to it that since she's sick right now and she needs to get off at Wano in order to live, doctor's orders, you know. And we see to it that Nekomamushi and Inugarashi says, all right, well, that settles that. Now that the only issue is what you're going to do in all of this, Odin. Are you going to ditch her on Kinemon and go, aren't you? And we see to it that Odin says, look, I'm not that bad of a guy. But Toki says, wait, Odin, don't you dare turn your back on the promise you made. You swore you'd see the adventure to the end. We have to it that Odin's retainer says, we have safeguarded Kuri well in preparation of your turn. Please come and rule Wano once again. But we see to it that Toki tells everyone, can you stop? Don't you guys think about how Odin feels? He'd feel awful if his adventure ended because of me. So please stop. We see to it that Odin will continue his journey to, like, continue to see his adventure to the end. He even says, I'm going to continue my traveling, okay? He even writes a narration about his country by saying, I could tell that my home had changed without even turning around to look. If I turned around, I knew I'd never leave the island again. It was like I couldn't stand to look at it with my own eyes. And we see to it that, like, he continues his narration by saying, we got Wano's poneglyph as fast as physically possible and then left my home and family behind. Although Odin also says 4 years later there wouldn't even be this kind of homecoming waiting for me. We see to it that Roger says, you know, this Vivre card's pointing me at Zoe, you know, let's go. And we see to it that, like, Odin has a bizarre feeling about this, you know, something's giving him a nasty headache or something. And we see to it that Zoe's citizens are pretty surprised to see pirates are coming by to visit, and they brought the Kozuki clan with them. And we see to it that they end up having to talk to, like, a duke called Duke Hichigukaka-san. Don't ask me how to pronounce that. Forgive me. Otherwise, like, just the new Duke of Zoe, you know? He ends up saying, he ends up really happy to see that Nekomamushi and Inugarashi is actually alive, you know? You don't even know how much turmoil it caused me when you guys had disappeared right off the bat. And we see to it that, like, Odin even explains to everyone, like, something is not really sitting well with me. Even right now, Odin's not feeling so good, you know? And we see to it that, like, one of Roger's crew members says, are you alright, Odin? You can always head back to the ship if you're caught up with something. But Roger says he's the same. He actually has that same feeling that Odin has, you know? And we see to it that Roger's happy that he found the last royal poneglyph. And that's the Kozikuri clan seal, you know? That means we were sworn brothers with the Minks whatsoever. And this scene is actually very nostalgic because this is where Pedro Mini Pedro asks Roger, "Let me come with you. Let me come with you." And we see to it that Roger compliments Pedro's spirit and says, "Your time is not yet. It's not yet to come. It's not your turn yet to face the dawn." And he says, "When will it be my turn?" And Roger tells him, "You'll know when the time comes. So until then, you must wait." And he says, "Okay, I'll help out later. I'll help out later, you know." And Oden continues his narration by saying, "And so we had finally gathered all four rolled poneglyphs, and that was left is the final island." But before I get into the rest of the recap of the pages, which I'm kind of reading out the rough translations, if you guys noticed all the time in my recaps, we all know what happened to Pedro, you know? Let's not forget that his sacrifice was the reason why at least Luffy and the others were able to escape. But, you know, there's more things to come, etc. But let's continue on. We have to it that after going to some kind of harbor right now, we see to it that Roger's not feeling so good, but have you guys figured out our next destination? We must leave right away. But apparently something happened to Buggy. You know, when he was still part of Roger's ship, he therefore came down a high fever that before they reached the last island, it came down with a high fever. It's called "you die if you go to that island" disease whatsoever. Buggy tries to convince everyone, "Let me go, please, please. Why do I have to catch a disease before the finish line?" And we see to it that Shanks, he ends up saying words, "I can no longer tell how good or bad the friendship is," but Shanks tells Buggy, "Don't worry about it, Buggy. One day we'll have our own ship and we'll come back here together." So it looks like to me Shanks also might be there for when Luffy possibly reaches that island. But aside from that, eventually news about Roger himself. He literally reached the final island. He conquered the Grand Line. He has successfully sailed around every single ocean there is, and to put it in words, he is the greatest pirate that ever lived, and he's the king of the pirates. But Oden also writes his nostalgic message by saying, "On that fateful day, we had learned everything about the world. We learned about the blank century. We learned about the meaning of the name, what the D name, initial name meant. We even learned about the ancient weapons. I at least learned that Wano had connected with the world in the past. But do you want to know what Goldie Roger, king of the pirates, did when the treasure he sought was placed in front of his eyes?" He laughed. He literally laughed. And we all laughed as well, to the point where tears started pouring out of our eyes. And Roger says, "Joy boy, I really wish I was born in the same era as you. You left behind such an unbelievable treasure. What a funny story. Hey guys, how about we name this last island that no one arrived at yet in the past 800 years with this? Laugh Tale. It's literally called Laugh Tale." And the chapter ends. Like I said, this was a really rough fan translation from someone. I can't really give you the link anyway, even if I wanted to tell you, because, copyright reasons all over, etc. But, like I said, what I gave you guys in the recap was a rough translation, etc. Pretty much this chapter right here explains more of Oden's past, obviously. His journey with Goldie Roger, where Oden met Tom and Frankie, and then he ended up going to Fisherman Island to look for the poneglyph that they were searching for, and they end up having to figure out that the poneglyph that was red that Roger was looking for was actually on Wano and Zou. So pretty much Roger ends up having a small talk with Neptune after he realizing that there's a weapon to be born, and it's called Poseidon or Poseidon. And what's more is that they go to Wano and they had to leave Toki and her children behind. Even Oden wants to continue his journey, and Toki tells Oden, go to your adventures and finish it. This is not the time to let it end, And eventually, Roger will sail to Zou and ends up looking at the red poneglyph he's looking for, and it's actually from the Wano Kozuki clan or something. As the chapter continues, we see to it that some people get sick, such as Buggy, and Shanks was the only one able to go, and eventually Goldie Roger would conquer the Grand Line, and after the treasure he's been looking for that was placed in front of his eyes, he freaking laughed to his heart's content, you know? Everybody laughed as well, to a point that tears were pouring out of his eyes, you know? And even right now, Roger tells his last words tells Joy Boy, like, you know, I really wish I could have like been in the same era as you. You know, it's an unbelievable treasure, you know, very awesome. But, you know, they found out everything about the world. Not only that, they know the meaning of the name D, the ancient weapons, all together. It was pretty awesome. And the last island that Roger decides to call it, that no one in the 800 years that has passed, he calls it Laugh-Tale. Now, I heard that name in the non-canon movie, the most recent One Piece non-canon movie, but, you know, yeah. Anyways, pretty awesome chapter. I mean, the translations, the translations that was given to me, thanks to someone being kind enough to actually like put it right there. It was a rough fan translations the way I look at it, you know. I mean, there's nothing much I can really say about that entirely. So all I could tell you that these translations were pretty rough, but it might seem accurate. So please please forgive me if what I told you was pretty confusing and might be a little disorganized and might be a little spoilers for you guys, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna have to end it right here, people. I will make a One Piece announcement for my channel soon. I mean, like, it could be sometime next weekend or so, you know, that kind of thing. So, until then, people, I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Alphazito. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. Bye-bye. Toot-toot-toot!